2009, they rode the Mangini Express, Rex did, right to the AFC Championship game. Then they built upon that and got to the 2010 championship game. And then it came. The worst offseason in New York Jets history.
Well, that's not happening again, everybody. What's up? Good morning. This is GreenBean, and welcome to our free agency countdown. This is going to be it. This is a big day. We'll go over all of the things that we did last year. We'll go over whatever types of moves you'd like to see the Jets make this year. We will be keeping the trackers open, so hopefully, if and when we get any news, we'll be discussing that as well. I want to say hello to you. It's nice to be here. We were hanging out a little bit yesterday, had some fun, and now we get to come back and hang out today. Hank's wondering, is today the day? Now, what does he mean? Does he mean is today the day that we decide on our punter? No. Maybe, I don't know. It'd be nice to decide those types of things too, but what he's asking, if you're not aware, is today the day that we learn who our quarterback is for the 2023 season? And I got to say, man, there was a dialogue going on last night, partially inspired by the Brandon Marshall interview of Aaron Rodgers. Are we still as interested if he's only willing to come for 1 year? I only want to come for one season, and I'm calling it a day. I'm wrapping it up. I'm hanging up the cleats, all the things you say. Are we still equally interested? I mean, look, I think at this point, you got to be, right? I mean, that's what I think. But we'll talk about that as well. Look, GreenBean's here. Hey, what's up, dude? Rusty Spooner went out and bought himself a big old-fashioned fifth wheel. Nothing wrong with that, buddy. I was just talking to the guy who runs Jetnation, Phil. He got himself an RV upgrade. He's had a mobile home forever, but he got himself an upgrade, baby. He's all sorts of psyched. If you guys ever made it over to the Jetnation tailgate, they're there every single week outside MetLife for the games. You see, they have the RV and the camper and everything. The motorhome there, and that's where they set up and everything. But this year, we're going to get to see an upgrade from Jetnation, baby. New York Jets super fan is here. I miss you. All right. Amazing. Or do you mean Green Bay? I don't know these days. GB means Green Bay these days. All sorts of crazy stuff out there. But let me tell you, it's nice to see you. Jets Forever hopping in early. I want to show you guys a shirt. When we did the Coney Island get-together last year for opening day weekend, right? Like we get together for at least a game every year. Last few years, it's been opening day. And the last 2 years, we've done a Coney Island Cyclone meetup. So I showed up with Jeremy, and there's a crowd of people out there, guys like Hepburn and Y2K surprised me, and Harry and all sorts of fun people. But Iowan Jets fan is out there. Do you see this shirt? He made this. Look at this. You know who that guy is? You see that? Can you see? So glary. That's me. This is me live. I don't remember where it was. Somewhere in New York City. I think this is my shirt, the bag of nuts. I was live as a comedian. So I don't know. I put this picture up somewhere. Reed took it and made a shirt. Iowa Jets fan. So I decided to wear this today as some sort of good lucky, charmy kind of a thing. Who knows? Racing Jason is here. It's good to see you. Phil Adams, man. Dude, you are round the clock, buddy. I'm impressed, Phil. I really am. Phil, if you don't know, my cord fell out. Phil, if you don't know, is over there in the UK. And remember early on, Phil, he'd be like, I can't make certain streams. It's late. No, he was like, I can't. He would show up and he'd leave. And, he's always still very consistent. But, dude, this last little while, Phil has been here. If I'm on at 9 a.m., Phil's there. If I'm on at midnight, Phil's there. If I'm on, 10 p.m., 4 p.m., Phil. It's amazing. You're an impressive fella, Phil. I have to say that. Kaz is covering. I looked at what you're thinking. Kaz is hanging out. There he is represented. Hank is here. We did Hank. All right, we did you, Hank. Well, happy Monday, buddy. Jets, Paulie, G to the motherfucking B. That's right, dude. Green to the mother effing Bay. Kevin Veff deuced. I feel it too. I do feel it. Hit that like button, everybody. Jennifer Slattery's here, good citizen. And look at this. We have another good citizen hopping in to say hello before his traditional free agency stream. Let's say hello to our good friend, Matt O'Leary. What's up, buddy? Good morning.
GreenBean, are you nervous yet? How are we
am.
feeling? Yeah, I've just had a pit. I'm really for the last week or so, but over I guess I got the Sunday scaries last night. I was in a bad place. I was not doing too hot last night.
Well, that's what this is, Matt. This is a release of nervous energy. That's what this is. Sitting alone, scrolling or whatever the hell I do. I ain't going to do it. I got to be like, that's how I release,
No, totally. I was like doom scrolling at 11:30 last night. It was vibes were bad, but that's why I'm
scrolling.
Yeah. That's why I like coming on with you. That's why I like doing my own stream, because everyone hops in and it's like we're all in it together. It makes me feel a little bit better.
I could not agree more, man. I mean, for so many years, it was kind of like, we're alone. And even in New York, the Giants are kind of the look, they're the bigger team. They're the better team over the years. And so like even Jets fans, like we're small pockets, you know what I mean? We're these pockets, but the internet thing and the live stream thing has expanded. Like you said, like we get to be together. We get to experience whatever it is, good, bad, it's experienced together. Well, no matter what it is, there's going to be half of us that think it's good and half of us that think it's bad anyway. But I like what you said. You got the Sunday scaries. You're doom scrolling. These are great. These are great little terms. I have to remember these. These are good, man.
It's fun. See, we like to, I deal with things in comedy. Like if you can't laugh at yourself, then what are you doing? So yeah, I kind of poke fun at the reality that I'm living in. But yeah, those are two of my go-to: Sunday scaries, doom scrolling, all of my favorite things.
I love it. So Matt, look, we're gonna in this stream, we're going to go, do like a little bit of a rundown, a recap even of last year, see how we felt, like what we did, how we felt, how it turned out, all those types of things. And in an effort to remind people, like whatever happens today isn't necessarily the signifier of success or failure. It's just what's happening today. That's it, good, bad. But this is all to lead up to your stream. And we did this last year. I don't know if you remember, but I was in Sedona, Arizona last year for today. I did a morning GreenBean's Jets pod, which is, I forgot to say that, but that's what this is. It's a live GreenBean's Jets pod. We did that. You popped in, you hung out with me for a little while, and then we ended, and you started right at the bell, 12 noon Eastern time for the free agency. And then I hung out in your chat for a couple hours, and we got Laken Tomlinson and Braxton Berrios, and we were happy. We were happy, weren't we?
Yeah. All good things. Was that the one where you were on the side of the road doing the stream?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I do remember that. That was iconic. But yeah, it was Laken, it was Braxton. My initial feeling, maybe it's just because of what we're dealing with right now, but I don't think I expect the Jets to be crazy active today.
Well, we don't have any money, right?
Yeah, true. You're clearing space to make room for Rodgers right now. That's the goal anyway.
Yeah, well, and it's funny. We were talking about it yesterday. Again, just like the other day, like I'm like kind of watching you and Ryan and Jake, and I'm trying real hard not to like step on anybody. Like I would have gone on earlier, but I saw that Jeremy was on. I'm like, all right, I want, the best I can. I'm not gonna try to jump on, but as I slither into these little corridors that you guys are leaving me, we talk about some things, and one of the things is, like, well, what are we gonna do? We're clearing some money. It looked like we cleared like almost the exact amount that it would cost to bring Rodgers in, but then we spent some. So I don't know exactly how it's going to go, but it does seem like the Jets are at least they have that focus this year. We've renegotiated how many players? What is it? 4 now?
Yeah.
Right. And we still have some other guys on deck. I mean, number one at the top of the list has to be CJ Mosley. I mean, I thought he would be first, and he's still not done. What do you think the holdup is?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the holdup is there. I think eventually it gets done. Both him and honestly Carl Lawson, because it feels like we were talking about him as a potential cut candidate, and it makes sense, frees up $15 million, all that stuff. But it felt like the Jets were operating under the assumption that he was coming back for 2023. So I then thought, all right, I guess they're going to restructure him, but they really haven't there weren't any leaks about, they're talking to Carl Lawson about restructuring his deal. They got, a bunch done the other day, but yeah, both Lawson and Mosley, those two feel like the next two that would be coming down the pike here.
Yeah. And and it's funny how you said that too. Like a lot of Jets fans kind of assumed that Carl Lawson is going to get cut. But you got to look at it from a consistency perspective, from a production perspective. Why do we want to cut him? Well, it's only money. I mean, that's the only reason that we'd want to cut this guy. Truly. He played, I forget now. What is it? It was 58% of the snaps or something along those lines. So we were able to limit his snap count and all that. And look, he made it through the whole season, which is not really his forte. And he had an impact, man, a serious impact. Why are we so anxious to lose guys like that? And then, you got the crew trade Quinnen at the top of his value. I think it would be better if we can figure it out, how to extend Quinnen, tender Bryce Huff, rework and keep Carl Lawson. I think that's to our benefit, man. Why do we want to start over with a new, at least partially new defensive line? Do you agree?
Oh, 100%. I mean, that was one of their biggest strengths last year, and you don't want to, weaken it. And sure, like you can make the case you want to give more reps to Huff and Jermaine Johnson and Michael Clemens and guys like that. But I really like Carl Lawson. I know he didn't put up monster numbers, but I thought he was solid last year. And you need solid players. Good teams have solid players. It's not like you just have, all these elite level players and then there's a massive drop off in talent. You need to have all like good players on your team, and that's what Lawson is. And yeah, I'm kind of with you there. Plus he's kind of playing through an injury for those 17 games. I think him coming back with another year of health on the Achilles is going to make a big impact for him in 23.
Well, what do they say? They say the second year is kind of when you're all the way back, I mean, and if, just knowing that, assuming that that's actually accurate, wouldn't we want to be the team that he does come back to 100%?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it would be so typical where they move on and then he signs somewhere else on the cheap and has a monster season. He has that 12 sack season that we all thought, you're potentially getting from him back in 2020 or 2021, whenever it was that he signed. But I think people are quick to forget that in that training camp before he got hurt, he was the best player on the field every single practice. He was dominating that training camp. And then unfortunately, it was in the was it in the game against the Packers or the practice against
the joint practice?
Yeah, they lost both him and Mekhi Becton, or Becton was banged up and then ended up playing.
Yeah, Becton was later. Becton was the game. I think he played around 3/4 of the Panthers game. But Carl Lawson went down in the joint practice.
Yeah, and it's like, here we go. Is this guy he was pretty much the big ticket free agent that offseason. They brought him in and Corey Davis on offense, but Lawson, they needed that pass rusher really bad, and then to lose him really stunk. But yeah, I'm hoping he gets back to pretty close to where he was when they signed him.
Yeah. Now, hey, listen, Bryce Huff. I've been hearing people have been telling me all morning that we extended the tender, but I can't find it anywhere. Is this accurate?
Yeah, it was. Who had it? Give me a second. I'll scroll back. Jason from Over the Cap had it. Jason OTC. He said per sources, the Jets will extend a second round tender to Bryce Huff, which makes a ton of sense. That's like a little over $4 million.
Yeah.
I believe. And I think he's back on that. I would like to see him play a bigger role before offering him a longer term extension. I like him a lot as a situational pass rusher. I think, get him more snaps. His snap count was ridiculously low, and see how he takes it from there.
Yeah, I'd love to see him get increased role. Yeah, but either way, it's good to have him back. I mean, I think a second round tender is a no brainer to me, in my opinion, anyway. So, Matt, who do you think's first this year? Last year it was Lake and Tomlinson. Who do you think is first?
I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be a very exciting. Like, I'm getting Gerard Davis vibes. Like, I think it's gonna be like a lower tier guy. You know what? No, I'll go like somewhere in between. I'll say Ben Jones, the center from Tennessee. I think he comes on a 1-year pretty cheap deal. That would be my guess.
Interesting. Now I'm seeing a comment in here. CJ Mosley to Green Bay. You think he could be a part of a package?
Absolutely not. I don't think they are including him in a trade package for Arrow. Why would they want a older, expensive linebacker? I think they want to get younger and build with Jordan Love. So I would be very, very surprised if he was included in the deal.
Yeah, right. They're actually rebuilding right now. That's the whole issue with why Rodgers doesn't want to be a part of it and all that jazz. So it's going to be an interesting day, man. I mean, look, again, last year we kind of came out of the gate with pretty much exactly what we wanted to see. We addressed guard within many people's assumption, or assertion, the top guy. Look, he was my top guy.
Yep.
And then we re-signed Berrios, which was awesome. And then we got a tight end, in who was first? Uzoma.
Yeah,
it was a pretty exciting day. So maybe we see something like that today. I'm not really sure. Again, we don't have quite the amount of money that we had last year. So I don't know, man. It's going to be really interesting. But look, at the top of everyone's list is obviously Aaron Rodgers. But who knows? Maybe they drag it out another week, another 2 days, another 3, whatever it might be. It's going to drive people insane, man.
I don't know.
What do you think? Do you think it's a lock?
I still feel really. When I said I'm nervous, I am still very confident that it happens because everything coming out of Green Bay, even their president. Did you see the interview with the president talking?
I did.
At that was it the high school college basketball game or whatever the hell it was. Everything sounds like they want to move on to Jordan Love, and then why retire and leave all that money? So it's pretty much the Jets or retire. And I don't think he wants to do that either. I'm just tired of waiting. Like, how long does it have to be? We reach it. Today's the day. I know Wednesday's technically the start of free agency, but really it's
right.
Today. The legal tampering period is what kicks it off. So I don't know. I said it would be over by Friday of last week. Clearly I was wrong. So who the hell knows?
Yeah, we were all wrong. I think a lot of it is wishful thinking, though, too. Like, we're hoping. You know what I mean? Like, everything that we're saying, and, it's like, we hope, we want it to be. It makes sense that it would be today. And we've gone through this pretty much every day for the last week. I think today does make a lot of sense, though, because the Jets have to kind of create and orchestrate what it is that they're going to do in free agency by what quarterback we have. I mean, there's definitely going to be some free agents that don't want to come here because the idea of playing with Zach Wilson over Aaron Rodgers, it's obviously different. So I don't know. I think today is a big day. That's what I think.
Yeah. Well, did you see Alan Lazard saying that he wants to wait to see where Aaron Rodgers and that's someone who's been linked to the Jets for a potential fit at wide receiver. Like, I don't know. It's going to benefit everything.
Well, yeah. And look, he's the one saying it, but I don't think he's the only one thinking it.
Oh, no. Right. Exactly.
You think Berrios will come back?
No, I was surprised that apparently they couldn't come up with a restructure. I guess maybe they wanted him to take a pay cut instead of a restructure, but that was bizarre in the Schefter report where it was pretty much like they couldn't reach an agreement on a restructure. Usually that's a no-brainer for the player.
Yeah, well, look, dude, again, he played on the cheaper side last year, right? So he played on the cheaper end of the 2-year extension last year. And then when it gets to the money, we say, hey, on second thought, we don't want to pay you that money. I mean, I get it. I
Yeah.
do understand it. But then again, like, what's he going to get out there? Like, do you think he's going to get what it is that we were going to pay him? We're supposed to pay him this year?
No, not after he was a non-factor
Yeah.
in the passing attack. He had like 100 receiving yards, and he wasn't nearly as effective as a returner. Someone will pick him up, but it's not going to be for $5 million a year.
I got to say, I tend to agree. It's really a bummer for him, what happened last year, because he did have a nice little career, brewing there.
Yeah.
Especially with the all-pro kick returner thing. And it's just, I don't know, dude, that Vikings game killed him. It was never the same.
It was the beginning of the end, 100%.
All right. So we got our own guys. Herbig is someone I see being mentioned in there. Like, what do you think? Is he a priority?
I don't know about priority, but I think it'd be nice to bring him back for depth purposes. He might want to, take an opportunity to start somewhere. I don't want him to be the starting guard. I think he's fine as someone who is, the first guard off the bench. But if someone's paying him, it's kind of like, oh my God, who was it? Pat Elflein. Remember the Jets had him?
Oh yeah,
okay,
for
if
sure.
you want to bring him for depth, that's okay. And then he signed a massive deal to start with the Panthers. Like, okay, yeah, I'm not, I didn't want to pay him that much. So if the same kind of thing happens, then you kind of just shrug and say, okay, go start for whoever. Then,
I tend to agree with you. And it's not that he can't start, but that's not the guy that you want to go into the season depending on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Elflein is a great comp. I wonder what he's going to get. That's the whole thing. It's like, he can price himself out. I'd love to bring him back, but I don't know. Hey, we have another little guest here, little tiny guest who has COVID. What do you think of that? Let's see how he feels today. Jeremy, how you feeling?
What's going on? I'm feeling a lot better. I'm glad my wife got me that drug, man. She got me that telehealth appointment. They prescribed it, that Prevalox or whatever it is, and it's awesome.
Drugs are good. How many times have you heard me say it, Matt? Drugs, good.
the
right?
biggest, you're the biggest drug guy I know, if we're being honest.
Right. I'm nonstop. Well, good for you, Jeremy. I'm happy. You look a little bit better. I saw that you were live this morning, so that's good.
Yeah, I actually found out I had it right after I was on with Matt. I was like, I was on with Matt. Afterwards, I was coughing, my throat got scratchy, and my wife goes, maybe you better test, because I'm with my parents, right? So I tested and it came out positive. I couldn't believe it.
Oh God.
Hey, it happens to the best of us, dude. We've all had it.
Yep.
I think on here.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, Jeremy, who's your number one dude for today? Whether a re-sign or an external free agent, who do you think would make you the happiest?
I'd be happy with what's his name, the center who got cut, Jones.
Yeah, there we go. Same thing. That's what I said.
That's right. I'd be happy with that. That would be great. And then we can wait till like the 5th round and take one of those developmental guys because for the future.
Hey, there you go. And then we can maybe like 3rd round, 4th round kind of thing instead of pushing, like either top of the 2nd or maybe even 1st. Right?
Yeah, I think we reduced the pressure for a safety already, like a little bit getting Clark, not that we couldn't use it even another. And then if you relieve that need of a center and took that urgency away, every one of those kind of things that we knock out and we can cross off the list is more flexibility for JD to take the best player available.
Now, best player available, do you think it's going to be offensive tackle in the first?
If one of his top 3 are there.
Right. And we don't know who that is.
Right.
But, we have to believe that, not all 3. And now we're hearing reports that Anton Harrison, which is a guy that I like, might be the first guy taken out of nowhere, really. It's all of a sudden Anton Harrison, and this happens every year. Yeah. But, all 4, let's say, aren't going to be on JD's top offensive tackle list, most likely. So I don't know. It's going to be weird to see, guys that we all like that JD doesn't, and then he ends up taking, Brian Branch or a defensive tackle or whoever. It's going to be interesting to see. But it all starts today, man. Today is the day that we're waiting for. And I don't know, man. I like Matt said earlier, I don't really think that we're going to see what we've seen in years past because we don't have the money to see it. I mean, do you agree, Jeremy?
Yeah, no, I there's not going to be the big splash is quarterback. That's like what we're waiting for.
Right.
Nothing else is going to compare to that. But we could see, the DJ Reed wasn't for a lot of fans. I mean, we were excited when we looked into it, but for the casual Jet fans, the majority of Jet fans, they weren't going nuts when we made that signing, and it was our best signing. So, JD's great at finding those value type picks. You saw, that they're not huge splashes, but they fill key roles, and they're helping make the team better.
Now, what do you think of this? Jordan is checking in saying if he's not done by noon, it's time to start talking to other quarterbacks. Matt, I'll start with you. Do you agree? Noon as the cutoff.
No, I don't think so, because then, like, I don't know, like, you're gonna start talking to Jimmy G at that point and try to get something done immediately. I don't think it's something that you have to rush. And then if you get to Wednesday, maybe that's a different story. But I don't think noon isn't my hard cutoff today.
Yeah, I don't know either. Jeremy, what do you think?
I think that I'd be very, very concerned if it doesn't happen by noon, but that doesn't mean that they don't know. Like, there's a chance that they all know, and they're working out some very, very little stuff. They're still working out. They have a plan. They know it's going to happen. So while we'll be panicking, they might not be panicking.
Yeah, that's the whole thing that we have to remember, that just because we don't know doesn't mean that it's not either done or 90% worked out. It doesn't mean any of that stuff. We are not necessarily on the same timetable as they are. They could be like, cool as a cucumber. They know they're done. It's like, dude, relax, everybody. We're just waiting for X to happen. And once that happens, we'll know this or that, and then we're done. But, out here, we don't know shit. So we're in Panicville, which is, look, it's par for the course for us, honestly. I mean, we're going to panic or, get upset or, elated, no matter what the hell it is, without, with just a drip of information. I mean, shit, we freak out over a tweet. Mm-hmm. So there's a tweet and we lose our marbles. So I don't know. I think, Jordan, I would have to agree. I don't think noon is a hard cutoff. And here's the thing I'll tell you. I also wouldn't be surprised to learn that they've already talked to every quarterback out there. You know what I mean? Every single one that interests them. I wouldn't be surprised to learn that they've already at least had a discussion with each one of them. Now, let me ask you guys, quarterback number 2 after Rodgers. Obviously, it's not Carr. Who do you think it is? Matt, I'll start with you. Who do you think, if Rodgers goes down, who they flip into?
I would think their choice would be Jimmy. I would be more inclined to take and it is a risk, by the way. I would be more inclined to take the risk with Lamar and giving the 2 first-round picks. I do think Baltimore would match whatever contract you offer him anyway, so that's kind of pointless. But the scary thing is the drop off. It drops off very quickly, so I think you're just better off hoping this thing works out with Rodgers, because if not, and Lamar isn't realistic, then I think you're going to be sticking with a semi-mediocre quarterback, which isn't ideal.
Oh, I'll tell you, man, it really does change after Rodgers. It's a whole different thing. Jeremy, which guy do you think it is?
Yeah, I mean, Jennifer Slattery would kill me if I didn't say Lamar, because she loves Lamar Jackson. But look, I would trust JD if he did it. And I mean, and I agree with Matt. I think they would match it. I think that's what Baltimore's doing. They're saying, okay, let's see what your price really is, up to an extent. But I honestly don't think JD will do it. That's the difference. Like, if he did, I'd be fine and excited. I mean, Lamar Jackson, right? Huge star, big player. How could you complain and be upset about that? But at the same time, if you were asking me my opinion, I just don't think that he's that type of GM. Nothing in the past, the closest thing in the past few years that he's done that can be any argument that he would ever do a deal like that is Tyreek Hill. Like, that's the only thing he's done that surprised me, where he was going to pay big money and draft capital, right? And even that,
I agree.
Maybe he was trying to drive up the price for Miami, and he knew all along that he wasn't going to come. I don't know. But it would just shock me if he gave up 2 number 1 picks, committed to 5 years, which is the opposite of what he does. Look at every contract he signs. They're usually 2 years at most until you can get rid of them without too bad of a cap hit.
No, really, they are. I mean, there's not one contract that you feel like stuck in. Not one. Since he's come here, not one. I mean, is there one that I'm not thinking of? In my brain, there's not one contract that you feel like, oh my God, it's an albatross. Where McCagnon, the exact opposite. Joe Douglas, I mean, you'd love to see maybe some free agents that you could be more committed to and that would be here 4 or 5 years. But either way, when you want to get out, you can get out pretty much scot-free. Look at Lawson, look at Davis, 2 great examples. And even the other guys, Jordan Whitehead, like you can get out of it. Granted, there's some dead cap, but saving $7 million isn't the worst idea in the world, if you need it. So I don't know, man. I don't see Joe Douglas as somebody that's going to completely sell the farm. That said, Lamar Jackson is a premium talent. So who the hell knows how they think about him? Well, now it's less than you thought it would be. I mean, with the tag, it's only 2 firsts instead of the 3 firsts and 3 thirds that people were talking about, a month or 2 ago. That I don't want to see done. And you guys saw that Watson's contract was renegotiated as well. Did you guys see that? Saved $36 million. Wow. That's serious.
Yeah, some serious cap relief there because, that was looking like it was going to be a massive problem for them. So that should help, and maybe they're a little more active this year.
Are they just pushing that money to another day, though?
Probably.
Yeah. He's not going to take less. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's got it. Like he's already got, what is it, 230? 230 guaranteed? Is that what it is?
So that's great. Yeah, it's crazy. They're trying to do it now while they have the team. Like push it down the road, push that money down the road. But they'll probably have that mentality of we got a lot of great guys on the roster. Let's do this now.
No, I agree. So look, we have an hour and a half left, actually an hour and 27 minutes until O'Leary goes live and walks us through every single signing, just like he did last year. I don't know who it's going to be. Again, we do not have quite the capital that we've seen us have in years past. We're targeting one pretty expensive guy. So it might be pretty quiet for us, guys. I want you to know that. I mean, Jets fans are looking for this guy and that guy and this. It just might be that way this year. And we're going to have to find a way to comfort each other, put our warm blankets around each other and see exactly, if we can get through this one without the exciting news that we saw, last year, for example. I mean, look, what was it? A half hour? Not even. We saw Lakin Tomlinson. Then we saw Berrios. Then we saw Uzoma, and then the next day it was Conklin or whatever, like we just kept going. I mean, look, and then we re-signed guys like Tevin Coleman and, all sorts of fun stuff that you thought was good. Nathan Shepard this year. I don't know, man. I think the big one might be, CJ Mosley being renegotiated and Quinnen Williams being extended. I think that would be just about as good news as bringing somebody in, man. I mean, Matt, do you think that's going to happen today, or you think that's going to be like post free agency?
I think it would be, my guess would be down the line a little bit, but I would want them to do it sooner rather than later. You already had the one contract signed yesterday that kind of set Quinnen Williams' market. The more that you wait, I feel like the other guys are just going to sign, and that's only going to drive up the price even more so.
I don't like it either. That's a good point. Jeremy, what do you think? You think that, like the big announcement for today would end up being Quinnen, or do you think, like Matt, that we have other work to do, priorities, and we'll push Quinnen for maybe not that long, but at least after this first wave of free agency?
Yeah, there's no reason to expect that announcement to come today. There's no reason, right? Because we're not under that time pressure. I mean, these are the days where we're talking to other people, so I don't think their attention is on that. Like, it just would be symbolic, maybe, if they extended him. I mean, maybe it would be just good for attracting other free agents, like say, look, he's back. Yeah. But I don't think that urgency is there at all. I'm really happy about with the Bryce Huff tender. I think that was good news for us to,
Oh, right. That's a good point. I want to ask you guys that. So you like it? You thought it was a good move?
Oh yeah, I think it's a good move, especially, I mean, if somebody was to make him the offer, like a bigger offer that and we would wind up with a second round pick, I would hope it happens before this draft, because this draft is really deep in edge. So we could just use that second round pick and say we're going to just pick the best edge on the board at that moment, and it's a deep enough draft and edge that we'd be fine. But privately, I hope that nobody does anything and he stays a Jet, because I like Bryce Huff. I think he was a critical part of this defense, so I don't want to lose him.
Me neither, man. But Matt, what do you think about the Quincy Williams? Not the quite the Williams we're all hoping for, but I think a lot of us felt, at least to some degree, that it was going to be either Quan or Quincy. We chose Quincy. Doesn't mean Quan can't be re-signed, but it definitely sends a message. What do you think about the signing yesterday of Quincy Williams?
Yeah, really not too surprised at all. That's someone that they really like a lot, and he got better from last year going into this past year. He's someone who he flies around the defense. He makes a lot of really big plays. Missed tackles are an issue for him, and at times getting lost in coverage. But overall, he's someone that the Jets really, really like. They view him as a developing player and wanted to bring him back, and they wanted to keep Quinton happy. So, like I said, really not surprised at all that they got this one done. It seemed like a lock that he was going to be coming back, and at that price tag, I think it's a fair deal for both sides.
That's a big thing too, man. Look, I don't know exactly how much impact it had, but the whole Quinton Williams thing, I think, is definitely a part of which guy that they chose. I mean, it has to be, right? He actually said he'd be willing to take less money if his brother is kept. So, I mean, the Jets offered $5 million is the rumor. We gave him $6 million. Maybe that's $6 million. Joe Douglas is saying, hey, buddy, see that $6 million? See that last mill? That's you. So I don't want to hear it. When you're saying 24, it's 23. And that's why. And then, probably Quinton will go, yeah, I changed my mind. I don't agree. I don't agree with what I said last month. I'm done. What do you think Quinton's going to end up signing for? Because, look, we're signing him. I mean, I would be blown away if we didn't. Like you guys said, okay, maybe it's not today, maybe it's not tomorrow, but we're definitely going to get it done. If you had to make a guess on the final number, Matt, I'll start with you and then head to Jeremy. What do you think the number is going to be?
Yeah, like 5 for 120, so 24 million a year AAV, something like that. I think it's going to come in around that point.
24 mil. What do you think, Jeremy?
5 for 114. Like 55 million guaranteed.
So how much is that a year? You're a math guy.
I was thinking more like in the 22 range.
22. Yeah. So Matt said 24. You're saying 22.
22.5, something like that.
22.76. Yeah, I'm with it. Yeah,
I'm a decimals guy.
Yeah, it's funny. Like at the end of the season, I'm thinking anywhere from 18 to 21. Like that's where I was. Now it's like 18. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell am I thinking? I think 20 is probably the bottom end with incentives, but I think you guys are probably closer to the mark, somewhere in that 23-ish, whether it, tips up to 24 or is a little bit pulled back for 20, 22 and a half. Either way, it's in that pocket. But I think with the salary cap going up, and we keep talking about this, right? Like, it's like it justifies every move. Every move we do, the salary cap's going to be going up in fucking few years. But at some point, it has to stop. I mean, how long can you push stuff and all that? But hey, this is why we pay, accountants and in cap specialists and all that kind of shit. Figure out how to make this work while keeping the player and his agent happy, while our coaches are not interfered with money resentments and all that shit. Figure it out. The guy wants to come. I need you little 4'6" little nerdy boy. It's your job. And nerd in the most positive sense. I mean, you know what I mean? Those guys rule the world, man. So I'm all good. I'm just saying, you, number dude, figure it out. And I think they can, man. We saw the Saints 2 years ago. They were 106 over the cap, and they didn't lose anybody. They didn't lose anybody as a cap casualty. They restructured some guys. They moved a little here, a little bit over there, and it all worked. So I don't see any reason why we can't do that. You know what I mean? I think we're going to do it, and it's about time. This is the brand new thing for Joe Douglas. We saw him, have to tear the team down and acquire capital and make draft picks. We've seen all that stuff. This is the first year where he really has to balance some things. Now, it sucks that the Zach Wilson thing didn't work, and, it'd be a lot easier. But this is a whole new realm. I think hopefully our general manager proves to be good in this area as well, not just late round picks. You know what I mean?
That'd be nice. That'd be really nice. That'd be a nice surprise for today.
Yeah, it would be nice. All right, so let me ask you this. The Jordan Whitehead, Jimmy Ward thing, Matt, is kind of, I wouldn't say it's the main topic out there, of course, but it's being discussed. Let Jordan Whitehead go, bring in Jimmy Ward. It looks like that $7 million that you're going to save with Whitehead could be pretty much what it costs to get Jimmy Ward in here, the solid familiarity. What do you think? Is that a good move, or is keeping Jordan Whitehead into his second season in the system a better move?
I would probably prefer to move on from Jordan Whitehead, because then that kind of puts Chuck Clark in his better position at strong safety rather than having to play free safety, assuming they would keep Whitehead at the strong safety position where he played last year. And Jimmy Ward more fits the bill of what a free safety does and what they're supposed to be. At his age, he's not my favorite safety target, but I think it would be an upgrade over Jordan Whitehead.
Yeah, and if you look at it that way, Clark is the same position that Whitehead is playing. So kind of putting Clark, even though he's played it a little bit out of position, and Whitehead with his last year, that could be a mistake. You know what I mean? And then you're able to bring in a true free safety. That might be the smart move. What do you think, Jeremy? You think the continuity is more valuable, or just kind of, reshaping the safety room with a guy that Salo knows is better?
Oh, I take Ward in a heartbeat, because I'm not worried about continuity, because Ward knows the system. He fits right in. It's not going to be anything for him to adjust to, really, except working with Clark. But even that would be the case anyway, no matter what, because Clark is new on the team. So I take Ward over Whitehead because he's more disciplined.
Oh, that was the end?
Yeah.
The way you said disciplined, it was like, sorry, my bad. Well, this is exciting, dude. I'm going to tell you, I love this time of year. Again, it sucks that we don't have 70 million like we're used to, but it's so, it's so exciting no matter how you slice it, that everybody wants to jump on live, and let's see what this guy has to think. We'll see what his number one guy is in free agency. Let's welcome to the stream, Mr. Dom C. How you doing there, Dom C? There he goes. He's not doing so well today. He's feeling a little bit under the weather. You know how it goes. It happens to the best of us, man. Believe me. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think, last year, my number one position was guard. My number one guy was Laken Tomlinson. So I was ecstatic. I don't know if that's going to happen this year. I think it's more about retaining our guys. When's the limit for extending the tender to Bryce Huff? You know, Matt?
I would think like today.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I can maybe look that up. But yeah, what it all boils down to is one Aaron Rodgers. Let me say this. If he decides not to come after the Jets flew out there and had the whole dinner and the whole thing, if he decides a couple days later, I'm going to retire, or I want to go back to Green Bay, whatever it is, it's going to be a major stain on this organization. It's going to be a whiff. But Matt, do you think that would kind of turn the fan base against him if they had to pivot And then they, look, Jimmy G's talking to the Raiders or whatever it is. Let's say we pivot and we end up with, whether it is Jimmy G or who else is fucking out there? I mean, not Lamar, but any of the other guys. Do you think like the fan base completely turns on them?
I think people are going to be pissed. I don't know if completely turns on them is fair because I feel like the fan base loves Joe Douglas, and for the most part, rightfully so. He's done a really good job with this team. But that's going to get old quick if you're running it in with Jimmy or Tannehill or whatever, and then you win 8 games, and it's like, well, shit, now what?
Yeah, or if he's like 7-1 and then gets hurt.
Could you not see them 7?
Oh yeah,
same spot as you were last year, 7-4. And then it's like, well, now you're back to Mike White or Zach Wilson for the final 5 in the playoff push. Good luck.
Yeah, then we throw Zach back in there a little bit prematurely. He's all freaked out. I wasn't ready, man. I wasn't ready to go in yet. And he's all throwing the ball into the dirt and running around backwards for 18-yard losses and shit. Oh, my goodness. I'm rooting for Zach. I really am. I think it would be best case scenario for that young man to have this time behind an Aaron Rodgers and then come out of the other side of it and be ready to go, man. But I don't think it's this year. I don't want to see him as our number 2 quarterback. Jeremy, if the team does not get Rodgers for whatever reason, he retires, he doesn't like Woody, whatever it might be, do you think that the fan base turns? Jeremy, you're muted all of a sudden, I think.
At least I was saying not the entire fan base, but I would say minimum 20%. At least 20% of the fan base is going to turn on him. They're going to, the people that really wanted Derek Carr are going to go nuts and say, you should have done everything to get Carr. You didn't. You let him get away. Like, this is a toxic fan base. So if we don't get Rodgers,
toxic.
20% minimum. 20% minimum.
How dare you say that?
Toxic. I mean, we are. And I'm part of the fan base, but we're a toxic fan base. We are. Look at the things that we do and say and yell and scream. We have fans harassing people's wives and mothers. I mean, it's bad. It's
you have a problem with that? That's bad.
I think we should leave people. I think we should leave people's families out of it. But I don't mind the passion. Like, I don't mind, in the chat when we're talking, people screaming and being angry. I don't mind any of that. But I think that people should, stray away from making it personal and attacking people on social media personally.
So with that, I'm with you. Wait, what'd you say, Matt? Sorry.
So don't tell players to kill themselves. Like stuff like that?
Probably
not a, normal, healthy response for one person.
Okay, now we know. Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah, and look, I can see it. Thank you. I can now see that side. Maybe for someone being bad at a game, they shouldn't have to end their life. Maybe, I don't know. Right, calling their mother or texting whatever and saying your son has provided me with more unhappiness than any other human in the world. How can that be? How can that be? But look, and the word toxic is kind of it's a touch word, right? It's a touch tone. But I think, look, we're tough to deal. We're not everybody's cup of tea. Let's say that. So I don't even know if we're Rodgers' cup of tea. Maybe he's just like, you see what they're doing? They don't even know anything. And they've burned the whole building down already. It's like, all right, maybe I don't want to go there. Hopefully we don't spook him. And he realizes that not only do we have that stuff, not only are we waiting outside the airport to take shots of you walking into the plane. Yeah, we do that.
Yep.
But we're also, if you win here, we carry you down the street on our shoulders. We love you. So I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Tony Alexio checking in. Tony, you won the bag of liquid IV. If you don't want it, just tell me. That's fine too. I wouldn't take it personally or anything, but if you want it, just email me so I can get it over to you, buddy. So he checks in. He says, JD made a great trade for his safety. Unbelievable for a lockdown secondary. Watch his magic with Rodgers get better. Our favorite Chaos. That's you. You're the favorite, Jeremy. Not bad. Well, I mean, look, Joe Douglas has proven that he does have a little bit of magic in there. He does. A little bit of magic, right? We know that. I just don't know. I think the Rodgers thing is I don't want to say beyond him, but it's big. This is like this is a big fish. This is not Jordan Whitehead. This is not Dr. Blocker. This is a big fish. And I don't know. I mean, I think at this point it's Rodgers or bust. But what happens if bust happens? We still got to get a friggin' quarterback. So that's kind of where we are. Does Joe Douglas's history make you feel better, Jeremy? Does it, if it was a different GM, would you see yourself feeling differently?
Yeah, I mean, I trust this GM more than any GM that we've ever had. I mean, admittedly, for the first bunch of years of my fandom, I was too young to understand GMs or anything like that. I just watched the team. But as I've come to understand the importance of everything, coaching and the management, and even up to the owner, this is the GM I trust the most. So whatever he does, I always take it with a grain of salt, even if it's something I passionately disagree with, because he's proven me wrong on a lot of things. That first year in 21, we were all screaming, "This is a joke. How can we go into this season without a secondary? We have nobody. We have nobody." And Eccles and Hall actually did okay, and that wasn't the problem with the team. So, and then, so I'm not going to jump on him too soon, because I have recognized that Joe Douglas is a lot smarter than I am.
That's, I'll tell you, that's very humble of you. I appreciate that. That's very humble. I don't know if he's smarter than me. I got to say, maybe he knows more experienced. We'll see. I don't know. But all right, offensive line, what do we think? Is there any possibility that today one of our, if not our big free agent signing ends up being a center or maybe a McGlinchey kind of a thing? Do you see that, Matt? Any chance?
I'd be really surprised if they spent at offensive tackle, because I think the market for like a quality starting offensive tackle is going to be way out of what the price point that they're going to be able to spend here in free agency on just one player. So that would come as really big surprise. I think, we said it earlier, both Jeremy and I are in on Jones. I think a center is much more likely.
Center. All right. Yeah. I actually agree with that. Jeremy, what do you see? Like, do you think that there's any chance that, in the first half hour of free agency, all of a sudden the Jets have an offensive tackle or a center?
I wouldn't be surprised at center. I mean, I agree with Matt. It's a value thing. It's like get the center with money because they're more economical. And when you have the 13th pick in the draft and you have 3 or 4 tackles on the board that are going to be on the board, that's where you get the tackle. It just makes sense.
Makes sense. I like that. Now, before I answer your question, Merlin, which, by the way, I like Minshew, and I know it's Minshew, but I can't help saying it. Let's see if this guy's got a better connection. Let's say hello to Dom C. How's he doing now? How are you?
Hi, guys. I'm having crazy wind over here, and since last night the connection's been a little spotty, so I apologize.
We were furious.
Happy tampering day.
Tamper. There it is. Hey, Dom, I'll throw this one to you first. Merlin wants to know, does anyone like me thinking that we're getting Minshew? That's his guy. Do you dislike him?
I've never been a very big Gardner Minshew fan as our starting quarterback since, the Minshew mania for the Jets kind of started off. Realistically, I think he's going to follow Steichen over to Indianapolis, be the support, be the backup there for whatever rookie quarterback they bring in. Maybe he starts the first half of the year, and then as they transition into the rookie. But I'm off the Gardner Minshew bandwagon. Actually, never even dipped my toe in that toxic pond.
Toxic again. The word, Matt, it just keeps coming up.
Back around.
Right? It's like, I don't know. We're kind of I don't know, man. It's natural.
I am of the belief. I know other people might be, their buttholes might be puckering a little bit, but I'm still not nervous. I think at absolute worst, we find out on the McAfee show tomorrow. That's worst case scenario.
Well, Dom C has made his presence known. He's already talked about toxicity and puckered buttholes in like a minute. So not bad, Dom. Now let's do, and look, Matt, I know you got to run. I know you kind of want to get your whole thing going. You can stay as long as you want, but just know, I'm not going to feel anything if you got to go. I get it. We only have an hour left, man. So we're almost there. Last question or not, but I want to make sure I asked you guys this. I actually meant to ask it earlier. The Jets went and were a part of the OBJ workout. Matt O'Leary, any interest in OBJ?
No. And I got murdered for saying that on Twitter and in the YouTube comments. Apparently, still thinks he can seek $20 million a year, which is bananas to me. He's had 2 ACL injuries in the last 3 years. Plus, I think he's kind of a little redundant to what Elijah Moore would be in this offense. That's just not the kind of receiver that I would be looking to add here. I think they need to go for a bigger body outside receiver. I think that would be the best course of action here. I'm really all set with Odell, but I should probably take you up. I should probably eat before I go live, right? I was just thinking that. I should probably.
Good idea. Good idea.
I didn't, but I didn't, but I probably should as well. As soon as I'm done with this, and I'm going to go off right before the Matt O'Leary show, I'll do as best a job I can for a warm handoff and letting everybody know that happens to be here. That hey,
sorry about that.
Mute yourself.
I know. Come on, there's a cough button all over the place. I'm just kidding, Jeremy. I hope you feel better, buddy. That's the most important thing, right? But we're going to try to warm handoff as best we can. But I got to say, Matt, that the hair doesn't do anything for you with OBJ.
It does look cool. I mean, he has a really good style. There's no denying that. But not $20 million worth, unfortunately.
Well, it's like what Y2K saying. He said, really, the only reason anybody's interested in Gardner Minshew is because of his mustache.
And mullet. Who doesn't love a good mullet?
That's right, man. I mean, look, it kept Feeney around for 2 friggin' years. So why not? So, Matt, you got to run?
Yeah, I'm gonna make myself something to eat here before I hop on the live stream. But it was fun hanging out with you guys for a little bit here. And I appreciate you doing the lead in. That worked out swimmingly the other day. We had a nice audience transfer from you over.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. I appreciate it.
And I'm happy to be a part of it, dude, truly. And this is the second year in a row that we did this one. So it just, I did the morning thing. And then when I was done, went right into you. And it was great. That was actually the day that I got the bucket of spaghetti. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah, I do. An iconic video.
I do. I remember that too in Arizona.
Right.
Yeah.
Sedona, Arizona. All right. Matt O'Leary, everybody. And again, I'll remind you about his show. He's going live at 12 noon to take us through free agency. You know and love him. But again, I will remind you in case you forget or if somebody pops in new, that's going to be the place to go. In my opinion, it's what I did last year, and it's a whole boatload of fun, man. So, Dom C, any interest? Well, you said Gardner, Jeremy, any interest in Gardner Minshew? Oh, no, I did that one. OBJ, that's why I wanted to go to Dom. Okay, I'm back. Dom,
yes.
OBJ, the Jets went to the workout. What do you think? Would you think that would you like to see them interested, and would it make you happy if they were?
So contrary to what Matt said, I don't know if necessarily bringing in a wide, now this comes with a very big asterisk and grain of salt, but I don't know if bringing in somebody of OBJ's skill set would be a bad thing. I would look. It's not something I yearn for, but if he were part of the team, if he was a piece in the cog, I know that there's a very good relationship and a very good level of respect with both back and forth between he and Aaron Rodgers. So I think that would play into it. I wouldn't be opposed to it, depending on how much it costs. Not at $20 million. I mean, that's just asinine. But if you can bring him in, on a 1-year prove it deal, get healthy, under that level of whatever we're paying Corey Davis, I'd be fine with it. I'm not opposed to it. It's not super high on my, to-do list, but I'd be fine with it.
No concern. And then Jeremy, I'll bleed over to you, but just so you know, 1 or 2 word answer now. No concern about the potential, character issue, maybe being a little red drop in our cup of clean water here.
No, I think our locker room is filled with vets, and Saleh pushes the whole culture thing, and I think he'll snap into place.
Guys to grab him.
Yeah, well, he's got no more legs to stand on, literally. He can't play that diva stuff because he's north of 30, and there's not many. He doesn't have many more chances in this game.
Give him a 1-year, $1.5 million contract with incentives that can go up to $12 million. Right? There you go.
Amen.
Jeremy, what do you think about OBJ?
Look, I mean, what Dom said, obviously 1 year, 10, 11 million, like that range, I'm not going to complain. I mean, of course, realistically, I think another team's going to offer more. I think he's crazy to want 20. There might be a nutty team. There might be another type Cleveland-like team out there that's going to do something stupid. But I certainly think there'll be a team that gives him 15 and maybe even, a little bit more towards next year, like lock themselves in a little bit next year, like a 2-year contract, 20 million guarantee, 15 a year, something like that. So I just don't think it's realistic. But if I'm wrong or for some reason he wants to have a prove-it year here for that $10 million range, it'd be crazy to turn down that skill set for that.
I'll tell you guys, it's been really great answers. I think the thought process behind them is top notch. I really do.
But
yeah, I fucking hate that guy. I mean, there's a reason why 3 teams got rid of him in 3 years. You know what I mean? So, or 4 years actually. Now, again, I agree with everything. I think, it would be nice to see him kind of, as he ages, kind of humbled by life and just, not quite the attitude issue that he had before. Did you guys see the video on the plane? Did you guys see that? What he did on the plane?
I did.
You did? What did you think of that?
I think, it's somebody who thinks a little too much of himself at times.
Yes,
absolutely. I'm not sitting here vouching for the man's character as he walks this earth. I'm talking about his skill set and how he can help this team win ball
totally
games. And there's a level where I'm comfortable with him. $20 million or long-term deal, I'm not into it. If he wants to come down and do what Quan did last year and say, okay, I'm going to come in at a lower price than what I really think my worth is, but I'm going to prove it. So I hope to have a payday next. I'm okay. Listen, we've dealt with diva receivers before. Again, chat, I'm not pining that we go run out and sign.
Yeah, no, specific. Yeah. Right. I asked you to
absolutely.
weigh it out. Right.
Yeah. There's a level where I absolutely feel comfortable with that skill set on our team. And it's probably
Jeremy,
not.
Did you see the plane video?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a jackass. And that's the only reason that I would want him for a 1-year prove it deal for that friendly price is I think as much of a jackass he is, if he had to be humbled enough to accept $10 million for a 1-year prove it deal because nobody was that interested, I think we would get the humble guy who's playing for the Rams and doing really well because he'd be playing for a contract. He'd be playing for his last big deal for the future. So I think that would be fine. But I would never want to sign him to a multi-year deal, big contract, because then it's just going back to having a jackass. So, so that's why I would only be interested in the 1-year prove it deal thing, because I think we'd be dealing with a humble player.
Yeah, potentially. And I will say, while I really didn't like much about his handling of that plane video, I will say that, we get clips first, right? You get this clip of OBJ being a jerk off, and then it backs up and you get more and more and more, but usually that's after all the melee and everybody's anger has burned off. But the truth is the staff, the flight attendants were kind of a little too much, a little bit. You know what I mean? Like they were a little bit kind of not wanting him, to give him any leeway and all that sort of stuff. They could have probably found a better solution. That all said, I don't like him. But I agree. Like 1 year, I don't know. I would much rather just see us go the other way. But the Jets were there. So there's at least some interest. Like Walt is saying, it's due diligence. Maybe they got rid of LaFleur, not more. So you can kind of see where that situation went. But let me say this, and I'll ask you guys. There is a rumor. It doesn't have much traction, but that Elijah Moore could be included in one of these packages that we're hearing about for Aaron Rodgers. Do you think, Jeremy, I'll start with you. Any reality to the Elijah Moore would be sent to Green Bay in this package?
I think there's reality to anything. I don't think that's what's going to happen because I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to want or let that happen. I think he was really clear with Green Bay that he didn't want whatever team he was going to go to. He didn't want them to take too much or have it be a big package because he needs that team to be set up to win for his run. But anything is realistic. That doesn't mean it's written in the sands. But I certainly don't want that to be the case. I don't want Elijah Moore to go. I think that this is Elijah Moore. I think if we get an Aaron Rodgers, I honestly think this is going to be Elijah Moore's breakout year. I think he's going to be a very strong number 2. We may even have 2 receivers over 1,000 yards. So I just don't want to see it happen because we all saw the tape. We all watched the All-22. Elijah Moore gets open. And if you get an improved offensive line and Aaron Rodgers, Elijah Moore is going to get fed.
Yeah.
I'd hate to see him go, right, Dom? I'd hate to see him kind of sent before everything happens, right? Do you see it the same way? Do you think there's any validity to it?
I think there's definitely validity to it. And I think the reasoning behind it is, if there's anything to say, is that our new offensive coordinator, Elijah Moore in the slot, although, us wearing Gotham green colored glasses love that idea. He's not an ideal fit for what Hackett wants. Hackett likes bigger receivers who can offer something as blockers in the run game. He always has. You know what I mean? So that's not Elijah. And again, talent-wise, I love Elijah Moore. And I'm not saying, again, I'd rather, gun to my head, I'd keep him and ride that talent out. We have him for 2 more years, relatively cheap. So that's, I'm not pushing to get him out. However, could I see him? Could the name Elijah Moore be kind of tossed around in some deals, whether it's for Aaron Rodgers or some other guys? I think it's, I don't think it's out of the realm. I still don't think I still don't think all that stuff, LaFleur's gone, but all that stuff that Elijah Moore drummed up, for some reason, I don't think it kind of sat well with our higher ups. I think they saw the level of maturity and character that the kid has.
Yeah, it was a major blunder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's hard to unpack that one. Undo it. Hey, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's great. We appreciate the apology and all that jazz, but that was no good, dude. We had our first real, win streak in a long time. And yes, we had the win streak at the end of the season with Gase, where we beat the Raiders and we beat a couple teams. And that was fun. I don't want to minimize it, but it wasn't at the beginning of a season when we're a young team that we really thought could be something. And holy shit, we're winning games and I want to trade. You know what I mean? It's like, what? Why? What's happening? That's why Jeremy tried to sell his jersey. Couldn't even sell it. A few guys I know, one burned it, one just threw it away. We're funny. We're a funny group. But Jeremy, do you still have the jersey?
Of course. You remember I wore it. I forgave him later in the season on one of our watch parties. I wore the jersey.
That's right. Gotta remember that shit. I gotta be reminded of everything, man. You know what I mean? But I do remember now that you've said that. So look, you're talking about 2 1,000-yard receivers. If that's the case, without OBJ, right? So just with what we have Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore. Behind them, we still have Denzel Mims. I mean, look, and technically speaking, Corey Davis is on the roster too. So It's not like he's gone. So we have those 4 receivers. Oh, excuse me. If Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson are out front and they get 1,000 yards each, what do you think that leaves for, like, realistically, what role does a Mims and a Corey Davis have?
Well, I think. Go ahead.
After you.
I was going to say, I think Mims sounds a lot like the guy Dom was describing that fits into this guy Hackett's system. Here's a guy who's going to bring value with blocking for the running game. Here's your big body receiver, makes contested catches. I think people are forgetting that Mims was not bad. He wasn't great. He's not exploding the way we wanted him to, but he's doing his job. Last year, he did his job. He's blocking and doing his job. Nobody got fed last year except Garrett, right? So everybody struggled to get catches, but at least he does his job, and he's an all-around good player, and I think he's going to be fine.
He is, I mean, technically speaking, as far as like that prototypical Hackett guy, he does fit the mold, right? You know, Dom, what do you think? What do you see for Denzel Mims and Corey Davis for that matter? Let's just assume he's here. He's here now. Let's assume that's our group. What do you see for those two guys after Garrett and Elijah Moore?
I think they can. I think the whole wide receiver crew, as constituted right now, between Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and Denzel Mims, I think it's a very strong group. I would probably say that one of the three, outside of Garrett Wilson, will probably be playing elsewhere for a bevy of different reasons. We're either going to move on from Corey Davis and free up that cap space for other moves, or Elijah Moore is part of another package to bring somebody in, or maybe they just move on from Mims for whatever reason. I mean, it's not much of a savings, so on and so forth. Maybe they just don't believe in him. So I don't think, as constituted right now, all four of these receivers are our top four going into the year. So
right. I mean, more than likely, you're right. I would agree with that there's going to be some shuffling. Elijah Moore has value. Look, he's super young still. Yeah. I think he's 22 right now. He'll be 23 in August, I think it was. We looked it up last night. I think it's August. So he's a young dude. Obviously, there were issues with quarterback and then offensive coordinator. So I think, look, these teams all do their scouting. They know who they like. And I'm sure plenty of them still hold him in a category that's young enough, especially with the quarterback situation here, young enough that he's fine. If I want to bring him in, there are rumors about Cleveland. Excuse me. Jeremy coughing made me want to cough. I don't know what happened there. I should have hit the button. I didn't hit the button. I mean, he's got value. Obviously, Corey Davis has value. And I think where Corey Davis's value really is the fact that he's making 10.5. Look, like Lazard's talking about 15. So he's making 10.5 this year. Sure, he's been injured. Sure, he's only given us, mid-30s on catches, but he also blocks. And I think a lot of teams would look at him and say, I think he's well worth the money and be able to give a pick for him or include him into a package. Denzel Mims, I just look, I love him. I think the world of him. I think he's got a really raw deal here. But that doesn't mean that people are going to be willing to give up anything of consequence for
correct
7th round, 6th. Like, what are you going to get for him?
Correct.
So it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I don't know, man. So Blade says, what's up, Blade? He says, we all in on LJ8. That's Lamar Jackson, everybody, at noon due to A-Rod dragging his feet. I got to tell you, honestly, I don't think that's the case. I mean, I think there's more involved here that we don't know. Like we don't know every detail, whether there's an actual agreement in place. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I think that they have a better feel of what's going on than we do. Like they can feel confident. Again, they kind of took the gas off of the Derek Carr thing. They had him involved and they let that go. They flew out there. They talked to him. All kinds of stuff going on. Obviously, the Saleh and Matt LaFleur thing. There's lots of stuff here that would lead you to believe that there's information being passed back and forth. I think they have a a pretty good understanding. Now, if they have that understanding and it's kind of like leaning towards him going out, then yes, they're already working on the contingencies. But Dom, how do you feel about the Aaron Rodgers thing? As we tick closer, we are now 44 minutes from the official start of the tampering window, everybody. How you feeling about it?
I feel confident. Like I said, there's still nothing that has come out or has leaked, and I think that has to do with how tight-lipped of a ship Joe Douglas and his crew run. But I think if it was less of an option than what it looks like it is, I think there'd be somehow, some way, somebody would have some inkling and there'd be gremlins about it. I just don't. It just doesn't. I can't imagine a situation where he's retiring. I can't imagine that situation. Could I be wrong? Sure. And we all know that Green Bay doesn't want them. Financially, it would be awful for Green Bay to take him back because they're on the hook. I don't know if you guys saw, I tweeted out a video from the guy, Jason, from Over the Cap, where he actually did a video where he broke down the financial ramifications of an Aaron Rodgers trade or an Aaron Rodgers coming back for both the Packers and the Jets. So financially, it's just suicide for him to go back to Green Bay for yet another year. There's nothing in me. There's no way that all these moves that we've been doing, all this space that we've been opening up, all the tight-lip stuff, the fact that we just walked away from Derek Carr, I think both of them kind of mutually use each other one way or another. I just think the writing's on the wall. I'm not nervous. I'm really not nervous. Now, I will say it's a little annoying that Aaron Rodgers comes out and says, "Oh, I don't want to hold anybody hostage," and here we are, 43 minutes before free agency opened up as a hostage. But
totally,
I'm not nervous, and I'm of the belief, like Blade's super chat, that there could be a good contingency plan with Lamar Jackson. I know people don't like him for a bevy of different reasons. I don't think that would happen now. I don't think we're going to offer him a contract. I think that would be something that he signs the tag and then a trade is worked out after the fact. But that would be after the draft, probably, before free agency or before training camp really starts. Something like that's going to happen if him and Baltimore just don't come to a head.
Yeah, and that's an interesting one, man. And I think, look, there's the whole collusion conversation going on. And look, I'm not going to pretend to know one way or the other what's really going on in the minds of collections of billionaires. I mean, what the fuck do I know? But I do think, just from my little tiny corner of the world here, I do think that the idea that, they offered him 4 years of $50 million when he hasn't finished a season in 3 years, and he said no, that's not exactly the greatest look in the world. It's like the team, if they bring him in, they know that he's got the potential to hold them hostage in a couple years. Don't think that once a guy holds out and gets his contract, that means he's not holding out. I mean, right here, Revis held out for his rookie contract. It was before the collective bargaining, rookie pay scale thing. He held out for his rookie contract. Played, 3 years, 4 years maybe on it. He had more years and he held out again. Yeah. So, he didn't like the contract he held out for anymore. So, it doesn't mean anything. So I think it's a bad look. And that's the thing. It's scary. Giving up 2 first-round picks for the right to pay someone $50 million for 6 years, I think he wants. And then he can hold out when the cap goes up and other quarterbacks are making more. He's gonna hold you hostage again. Like, it's just, I don't know. It doesn't sound very attractive, especially when you add to it that he has missed 5 games, and not just any 5 games, the last 5 games, which means that he's not making it through the season. You know what I mean? He's great. He's among the elites, and then he can't quite make it through the season. So it's scary, man. He's young, so who knows, right? But I think it's scary with LJ8. That's tough. I don't know if I saw it like that yet. Like I see in here, somebody thought it was LBJ. I got to admit, I was kind of in the same little pocket there. I'm like, LBJ, who's that? So I don't know. But Blade wants to know, well, how long do we wait? So, Jeremy, realistically, how long do we wait for Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I don't know that we're waiting. That's the
Yeah.
thing. They could be planning to announce it at 12 o'clock. Maybe they want to be the ones to kick it off. Maybe they want it to be the big story right in that moment
Right.
and ride that wave of excitement as they call their prospective free agents. Like we just announced we're getting Rodgers and, go off of that high. As a matter of fact, if it ends up happening today, if we end up, somewhere in the next couple hours, whatever it is, then I'm positive at this moment they knew and that they purposely waited. Like,
Right.
no doubt in my mind. So, like, I honestly believe I'm probably thinking there's over a 50% chance that the deal is done. It's been worked out. We know he's coming, and they're just timing the announcement. But if we truly don't know, and he truly hasn't given us an answer, if that was real, that he was still thinking about it, we have to start picking up the phone and making calls.
That's interesting. Like, I think that's a great point, Dom. Like, if it turns out that within the first hour, let's say, of the tampering window, we announce that it's done, then it was done. You know what I mean? Then it was done the whole time. And then everybody, because there's a large contingent of Jets fans that feel like he's like enjoying this. He's like, this is kind of what he wants to do. He likes feeling like he's the most important person in the world. And I don't know. I'm not saying that's not true, but I don't know if I buy that. But there's a lot of people that do. So if we sign him right at the opening bell, so to speak, it kind of shows that it wasn't him. It was just the situation. And we were kind of waiting to make the big noise at the big moment and steal the show, baby. Where do you think it is?
Listen, I think along the same lines as what Jeremy's saying. I think that the deal is done for whatever reason. I don't know why it's not being announced. I will say this. One of the Packers beat writers just said that, the deal's in place, but neither Green Bay or the Jets have any idea what Rodgers' true intentions are. I don't buy that, like I said, I don't think that we're going this far into, the start of the tampering period in free agency, just with all our eggs in that basket. I just don't. Maybe I'm too optimistic, but I just don't think that that's a viable situation. There's a very good chance now. Whoever your fallback option is at this point, if it's Jimmy G, if it's Gardner Minshew or Jacoby Brissett, any of the free agent quarterbacks, you're going to hear. We would have heard stuff that or if it's a trade for Tannehill or whatever, you would have heard those grumblings already. Well, the Jets are kind of setting up, their contingency plan. And if we heard that, I'd say, okay, maybe we're not so confident in, Aaron Rodgers' decision to come here. But the radio silence to me just feels like it's, it's done. I don't know what the holdup is or why the hang up or why it hasn't been announced yet, but that's just the way that's what my gut tells me. Yeah. And I've learned to really trust my gut.
That's right. You got good guts. That's guts.
That's what my wife tells me.
C, he's well known to have good guts. Look, like I told you guys the other day, man, what I see happening is a whole smorgasbord of player interactions. The way this is going to end is we keep 13, we get Aaron Rodgers, and they give us pick 17. That's the way it's going to happen. Yeah. We're going to figure out how to do that. You'll see, everybody. And we get Bakhtiari. It's going to be madness. And everybody's going to say, how the hell does Joe Douglas do it? And Green Bay is going to feel like they won somehow. And we'll all be dancing in a circle around a fire at midnight with a cauldron stirring in Eye of Newt. That's what we'll be doing later. You'll see. Tony S. is checking in. Thank you, Tony. He says, as great as Rodgers is, if it's taking this long to decide if he wants to play for the Jets or not, I think we may be making a mistake. Look, I understand that. Like Dom said, I'm kind of in the same pocket as Dom and to a slightly lesser degree, Jeremy. I think that it's not all necessarily him. I think that there's a lot here. And I think that even if it is just him, I think like we got to consider the reality of the situation. He's been playing for a team his entire NFL career. He was a 22-year-old kid when he got drafted up there. He sat behind Brett Favre for 3 years. Now he's a 4-time MVP, a Super Bowl ring winning, Super Bowl MVP, I think, as well. And he's been there his whole career. And it's like, yeah, you're not talking about going from, Green Bay to, what's another mellow place?
Arizona.
Right. That's right. Arizona. You're not going to Tempe. You're going to New York. And there's a lot of pressure here. And it's like taking that moment just to kind of sit back and wait till the moment that you have to make the decision. I don't know if that's really that beyond what should be expected. Again, I've worked for places for 5 years, and it seemed like the biggest decision in the world to leave and go somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like I worked for a detox for 6 years. That's where I started my addiction career. And when I got an opportunity to literally make like twice as much and a lot more responsibility, it took me a month to actually decide to pull the trigger. And then when I decided, it was painful, man. It was a whole thing. The truth is, it turned out that was the same guy same day that an employee of ours ended up overdosing and dying. It was a very, very weird day. But anyway, the whole thing was very, very difficult. And I was only there for 6 years.
Yeah.
So imagine, and I had no spotlights on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now there's also this interesting point, which Tigo and I were talking about last night. We were streaming pretty late last night, and somebody in the chat, I forgot who it was, I'd give you the credit if I remember, made a good point. Aaron Rodgers right now, he hosts some charity golf event that went on all weekend long. We also, Brandon Marshall was there, and so on and so forth. And somebody said that the delay could be that he doesn't want to take any of the attention off of that and the charity and so on and so forth. Like, because think about it. If he announced yesterday, you think anybody gives a hoot and fuck about what happens at that golf tournament or the charity that's involved with it?
It's a good point.
Yeah, I thought it was fair. So I got a question though, Larry. I see your chats, on here, and you're very much, pretty much staunch and strong that you don't think Aaron Rodgers is coming. What do you think the situation is? What do you think the end result is? Who's going to be our quarterback? I'm curious.
And
it's okay if you believe that, but I see it over and over and over. I'm just curious on what other people think. If it's not Aaron Rodgers, who is it?
Yeah, I mean, look, and there are definitely people out there, and from the beginning that didn't like the idea of Aaron Rodgers. Let's be real here; it's not all positive. You know what I mean? There are negatives associated with this, whether it's something as simple as the compensation, the draft picks, and then subsequently the money. That's something to consider. And then you have the potential attitude, problem, the kind of better than, let's call it, attitude. And, technically you could see him maybe rubbing people the wrong way. And so all those things I think are real.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, what we're really talking about, and again, you guys know, I thought Aaron Rodgers is clearly the best guy, but I leaned toward, just getting Derek Carr, having a very, very good quarterback, top 10, and then and just having him for 7, 8, 10 years. I preferred that scenario. No picks, 35 million instead of whatever. But the truth is that Aaron Rodgers brings an elite quarterback into this building. And if you look around the team, guys, if you look around, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Michael Carter II, Elijah Moore, look, we have a nice, strong tight end room with youth and, depth. It's like there's a lot here. If we can get the offensive line, even if it's just the guys we already have can play, we have a recipe for some serious impact. And that, not even mentioning our top 5, maybe it slides a little bit, top 10-ish defense. Dude, we have an opportunity here. And if they decided to go for the big flame now instead of the slow burn, I can't blame them for it. Now, if they miss, and it's a problem because in my opinion, they could have had Derek Carr. I see that Larry is saying that he walked away from us. Maybe. But I think maybe if he did, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he knew he wasn't the guy. We were waiting on someone else's decision to see if we full court pressed him. And maybe that doesn't feel so good. You know what I mean? He's saying, fuck you. The Saints, I'm their number one guy. And I'm instantly the best quarterback in the NFC South. So why not?
Yeah.
I mean, and I can see that, but I think if the Jets just decided go for Carr, I think he would be here. That's my thought on it. I think we're the best, most attractive place for a young quarterback, not young, but for a quarterback, a vet quarterback to land. So yeah, Tony, I mean, I don't know if it rubs me in the same way. I think it's just like, you got to know what you're working with going in. Like, you can't go in to a situation. We have all sorts of data on Aaron Rodgers. We kind of know who he is. A little bit weird, little darkness retreat, little ayahuasca, we know who this is. We can't then go in and then be upset that he's being the guy that we kind of know he is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Fair point.
Interesting news just came out on Twitter. Not necessarily Jet related, so no one. Detroit has signed one of the running backs that they had on their team.
Is it Jamal?
It is not. They re-signed Craig Reynolds as a backup running back. Does that preclude Jamal Williams not re-signing with Detroit? Interesting.
What do you think Jamal Williams is going to get?
It's a good question. You know what? I have no idea what his contract was. I guess I can look it up. I think it's going to be short term. I don't think it's going to be anything long term. We're talking a 1 or 2 year deal. I'd probably say in the neighborhood of.
Oh, look at this.
What's that?
Oh, there's stuff going on. No, you can finish your sentence. I'm going to there's a free agent tracker going on. Let me bring up some web pages here. Let's talk about some free agent track action. But what do you think? End of the day, number, what do you think if you had to guess?
I'd probably say in that $5 to $6 million range on a 2-year deal.
5 to 6, huh? Yeah, I saw some 4 action.
Yeah.
I think that, I think that's pretty realistic. All right, guys. Well, look, I don't know if, you guys are out there on Twitter and, it takes 8 seconds for everybody in the world to know anything. Dude, they yelled at me yesterday, Dom. You should have seen it.
Who?
I was in the middle of a story and then Quincy Williams got re-signed and holy shit, they were mad at me, bro. They were mad. Why is this guy never read the chat? I do read the chat. I just wasn't reading what I'm talking. But so let's see what we have here. You guys might already know. But sources are saying to Ian Rappaport that the Patriots are trading tight end Jonnu Smith to the Falcons as a former big ticket free agent heads elsewhere and creates space for New England. What an interesting thing, because as we know, Kyle Pitts is down there for the Falcons as well. So they're trying to load up a little bit in the big body department. What do you think of that? So 11-away. Aaron Rodgers hasn't tipped his hand.
Yeah, that's what I saw. That's the guy from Green Bay. I don't necessarily just believe that. I don't think that we're sitting in the dark.
Yeah, so he's right. He's saying what Dom actually said that one a few minutes ago. Bengals announced they're re-signing safety Michael Thomas to a 1-year contract extension. Well, I'll tell you what. What about Bates and Bell? What about those guys? Either one. I'll tell you what, I'd be real happy if we snatch one of those fellas.
Who wouldn't? I mean, I don't know how Von Bell fits with Chuck Clark and Jordan Whitehead both on the roster. I think that's kind of redundant at the safety position. Although there's no guarantees that Whitehead continues on the roster. I think there's more moves to be had once the announcement of the quarterback situation is resolved. I think that could resolve it. I think it could result in Whitehead being gone. I think it could result in possibly Corey Davis would be gone. I think there's more. I think it could result in a restructure or an extension for Carl Lawson to kind of play with those numbers a little bit.
All right, man. Well, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But I'll tell you what do you think about what John says here? The Patriots are trying to make room for Lamar. You think they come out as a dark horse candidate and just kind of pop up from the bowels of the earth and scoop up the, in many people's eyes, free agent number one? Jeremy, what do you think? Is this, you think that has any potential to be real?
Uh,
I mean, it's just John, right? Just John talking, but what do you think about it?
Anything is possible, right? We've been shocked by things before. I don't expect it, and it would be shocking. So it's like predicting something that's shocking. So I don't think it's, if everybody was predicting and thinking it could happen, then it wouldn't be shocking. So I don't agree that it's something that's likely or
I have to
anything
say,
else.
I don't like the route you're taking to answer this question right now, Jeremy. This is very unlike you. You're dancing. Come on, just say what you think. No, come on. It would be shocking. I'll tell you what. Let me reframe
I don't think
it.
it's going to happen.
There you go. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking for. I mean, but I mean, look, you're right. If everybody knew about it, then there's no shock. But I'll tell you what. If it ends up being the Patriots, it would shock the living hell out of most people. You agree?
No, I don't know. I mean, what other options are there for Lamar? There's not many teams that are in quarterback limbo right now, to be honest with you. So I think any team that isn't dead set is a viable option. I don't think anyone's going to attack him right now. I think any team, whether it be the Falcons, whether it be the Patriots, whether it be the Jets, whether it be any of these teams that are kind of in the quarterback hunt or not solidified with their franchise quarterback in place, are players for Lamar. I think it deserves a conversation. I just don't think it happens. I think it's something that he signs the tag first and then a trade is worked out later. I don't think that's the first domino to fall. And
right.
On top of that, I think the feelings that New England has for Bailey Zappi are real. I think they really like the kid. I can see them moving on from Mac Jones, but I don't know if they're moving on from Mac Jones for Lamar. Again, you have to have that conversation because he's that type of player when he's on the field and healthy. That's the big if.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Mac Jones isn't terrible. He's just limited. You know what I mean? And he's an asshole. He's dirty.
Yeah.
But Belichick probably likes that. He's like, hey, listen, you see an opportunity to kick someone in their nuts. You kick someone in their nuts. That's what he's being taught up there in New England. Bunch of jerks. So MJ Dunn says it was funny. Yeah, it was funny. You guys went fucking nuts. It was literally maybe a 3 to 5 minute period of time. That's all it was. And it was like, when I finally got in it, it was no less than 100 comments. Like, this guy sucks. This guy's the worst. He's so old. He doesn't know how to work technology. All those kinds of comments. Everybody just, dude, they flipped on me, Jeremy. They were like, they flipped. You saw it. There.
I texted you on your phone. I was trying. I was like,
yeah, no, that's funny because I saw that like literally a second. I saw it, and because I saw an alert, and I went and I looked, and I said, and then it was like Jeremy's text came in, and I was like, oh wow, there's something big, and yeah, we know, dude. They've already discussed it in the chat. They've dissected it. I don't know what's going on. I was telling a story about the 90s, man. You know how it is. You know how it goes. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Don't forget, guys, we have 21 minutes until the beginning of the start of the tampering window, and Matt O'Leary will be going live on Matt O'Leary's YouTube page, and it'll be real fun to just follow this. I mean, Jeremy was on earlier, and we come hang out with GreenBean a little bit, then we jump over, hang out with O'Leary. I did that last year. Again, I was in Sedona, Arizona, a little bit different than this year. Now it's freezing. It's like 30 degrees here in Virginia. So a little different, but hey, it is what it is. So look at this. The Bills are making some moves. They re-signed their linebacker and they re-signed their punter, Sam Martin, on a 3-year deal worth $7.5 million. $4 million guaranteed. Not bad, right? Not bad.
They have didn't they that he got cut. Didn't they draft a punter from San Diego State or something like that. Arezia.
Yeah,
what was
well,
his name?
they Areza, right, and they
Yeah.
did, but he had all sorts of issues. Right?
He was I guess they said that there was some sort of sexual assault thing and they cut ties with him, but he was exonerated from
You
that.
end up, and that's the fucked up thing about this kind of stuff. Like, I get it, you don't want to be attached to someone, but dude, what happened to innocent till proven guilty? Like, can we not ruin someone's life before we know if it's even real? Like,
Right.
can't we? I don't know. We're not there right now. The pendulum has swung all the way to the other side. The thing is, I disagree with both ends of the spectrum. I don't like, for many years, women were ignored and all that shit. And I don't want to even get into this too much, but it just sucks to see a young punter. He was called one of the best punter prospects in a decade by many people. And look, he's on the couch, and it turns out he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Imagine that, guys. You get fired from your job, and you're like, dude, what are you talking about? I don't even know who that is. And then you find out, 2.5 years later, or whatever it is. Oh yeah, by the way, you didn't do it. Oh, they've moved on. They don't even want you anymore. They don't want anything to do with you. So maybe he can find a way to get his career back. That'd be nice to see.
Yeah,
unless
absolutely.
he's really doing some stuff. Free agent cornerback Patrick Peterson wants to play on a team that gives him a chance for jewelry, necklaces, toe rings, things like that, which includes the Bengals. It's not us, I'll tell you that. That's one thing. All right, let's see here. Justin Thomas checking in. What's up, Justin? Thank you for the super chat. He says, Jets are looking at center Jake Brendel from the 49ers. You know what, dude? Let's get McGlinchey, let's get the whole Niners offensive line over here and just call it a day. What do you guys think of going out there? And again, we don't have much money this year, at least where we stand right now. We're trying to get Aaron Rodgers, the whole thing. What do you guys think if the one signing that we do end up hearing about today ends up being center Jake Brendel? Dom, I'll start with you. Jeremy and I were talking center a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
Well, full disclosure, like before the past couple of days when Jake Brendel's name came about, I could honestly say, and I fancy myself pretty astute with players and so on and so forth. I didn't know much about him. As I looked into him, he had a great season last year. Started, the whole season for San Francisco. Obviously, a very similar wide zone running scheme, West Coast offense base. So the fit would be good. I don't know what he would cost. I do know that he's 30 years old, so he's older than McGovern. But he seems to be the hot name because somebody had mentioned that the Jets had reached out to his agent, in preparation for today. I know that Michael Nania had a good write-up on him as well. I know that his stats were good, and that he's 30 years old, and that's all I know.
Yeah, well, that's important. 30 years old.
Yeah, it would make sense. It would make sense because there's obviously a glaring hole at the pivot position on our offensive line. So something's going to happen. I could easily see it being addressed through a lower level free agent and a draft pick. I think that would be, optimal in my opinion. So I don't.
Yeah, well, look, there could be some wisdom behind the idea of grabbing a vet for a couple of years and then grabbing not the top center or so in the draft, but maybe wait until the third round. Maybe they feel like a Whippler needs a year or an Avila needs a year or some, whatever. And then you kind of maybe actually play one of those guys at guard or something when Tomlinson goes down or he's not here next year. There is some wisdom to that type of thinking. Just bolster the line and, start developing guys that you really feel like have high upside rather than just depending on your draft pick to be your guy. I mean, there's good centers. And I think that we could, really stand a good chance of finding success there, but it's still risky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe they do. Jeremy, what do you think about this guy?
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on price, right? I mean, the whole reason we're not re-signing McGovern is more about price than anything. It's not like he was bad. He was well above average. So what is this guy going to cost? I mean, if we can get him at a much better deal than McGovern, then it would make sense. But I'd be happy because it relieves a need.
Yeah.
But if they, so I'd be happy with it. I'd be fine with it. It's like anytime we sign somebody that fills a hole, it's good news for us. Like as long, if we get a competent player to fill a hole, again, it frees us up in the draft and gives us that draft flexibility, which I love.
Well, dirty old Jets fan, aka Walt, checking in. He says Brendall played the last 2 full seasons, was hurt in the third, had a 16 gamer before that, then a 4 and a 1 year. Only 2 years with 4 or less games since 2016. That was a weird way to say it, Walt. I gotta be honest. That was hard for me. But the information is intact. So generally speaking, healthy. Is that what I'm gathering? Is that what you guys are seeing?
That's how I take it.
Right. Okay. Good. We're on
And
the
I
same page.
I see a lot of Luke Whippler love in the chat, which I'm all for. Bring me all the Luke Whippler love. And as a matter of fact, if you guys so choose, you'll be happy. Once we're done here, I'll be uploading my newest Project Prospect video for the GreenBean YouTube channel, and it focuses on one Luke Whippler.
There you go. Fun. Dom's doing a fantastic job. As you guys know, Dom every Wednesday hangs out with the Beanbaggers, and we do a whole breakdown on positions, and it's just such a good time. This week, Dom's not with us, and we have Dylan Terriman from Jetnation popping in as a guest breaker downer. It's going to be a good time. If you want to hang out with us, the link is in the description of this very video. So I see a couple things. Number one, the Giants have franchise tagged Saquon Barkley. You guys see that?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
That was announced after the Daniel Jones signing. I think
There you go.
they were going to franchise him.
All right. Well, it's official. We also saw that the Falcons and guard Chris Lindstrom have reached an agreement on a mega extension. I don't have the details, but mega
21 million per.
21 million per. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
There you go. So there you go, Mott Zone. It's $21 million per. AVT just kind of perked up a little bit. So holy shit, I'm gonna be a millionaire. I'm gonna be good. Let's see what else we have on this page here. Any other? So we're getting kind of into the older ones here. Giants kept their punter. Yeah, right. We saw all these. So these are now we're getting into yesterday's. Oh, there's a big one. Hey, did you guys know the Jets re-signed linebacker Quincy Williams?
Yeah.
Did you guys hear this?
Yeah, and Bean, I didn't talk to you since this signing. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I don't remember how you fall in the Quincy Williams thing. You think it's a good deal? I mean, I think the money's fine. Like I said, I've been an advocate of if I had to choose one, I'd prefer Quan. I just think he's better, more well-rounded. A little older, so on and so forth. But at $6 million is not a terrible deal. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I maintained throughout the whole offseason, I found it difficult to believe that we'd be able to keep both. Now, it doesn't mean that we won't, right? Maybe Quan wants to, he's like, hey, man, I like how they used me. I like that I only played 48% of the snaps, and that's what kept me healthy and all that. Because a big injury with him is a big issue with him has been injury. So maybe, it is still a chance, but I think it's unlikely that we'll be able to pay both of them what they're asking. The fact that we chose to keep Quinnen Williams' brother, I think is a good thing. I think it also lends itself to the idea that maybe the Quinnen Williams extension is not too far down the road, I think, which is, a priority for me this offseason. Granted, he still has another year on the contract, but I think the optics are very, very important here and make the kid happy. That's what I think. And keeping his brother adds to that, maybe, just maybe, the million over what the Jets were trying to pay him, which was $5 million. Maybe that $1 million is the million that Quinnen Williams said he would take off of his asking price, if we were able to keep him. So I think it's a positive. I mean, look, he's definitely not a flawless player. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Two things. One is he does lack in coverage. And the other thing is that he disappears at times. Like he will have games where he's everywhere And not only everywhere, lumping people up everywhere he goes, like just crushing people. And then the next week, he'll be a complete non-factor. So you'd like to see that turn around. But look, dude, they love him. He's a Joe Douglas scrap heap waiver wire claim. He's Quinnen Williams' brother. He's done well for us. I think if you got to choose one, I get it. I might have chosen Quan without the whole thing, all the other ancillary stuff that surrounds it. I feel similarly. But again, I mean, Quan Alexander, like John Hepburn saying, he's due for an injury now. I hate to say it like that, but I kind of agree. Yeah. And the thing is, the Jets used him in a kind of sub-package role, specifically, I think, because of the injury concerns. And look, he made it. Yeah. And he played well all season. So he's going to have to kind of buy into that idea, and he probably doesn't. Could very well be his last payday. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that the Jets have been in communication with Quan, and I think they've let him know. Listen, I mean, he's been dropping hints that he's leaving, and I think the conversation probably fell along the lines of something like, "Hey, listen, we'd love to have you back, but priority wise, it's not there. So if you can go and you want to, go test the market and see what you can get, we love you. Good luck."
Right.
Because even just today, Quan at 43 minutes ago just posted 12 o'clock. It's almost that time, on top of the fact that, last week he was saying, hey, only God knows where I'll be. I'm going to have the best season yet. Can't wait to see what's next for me. So he's dropping those little subtle hints.
Yeah. Once you say, I can't wait to see what's next, that's tough. That's tough.
He hasn't removed the Jets and all the Jets information from his social media thing. So,
yeah, well, that's good too. So, hey, man, he's posturing. There's posturing going on too right now.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I see a comment from City Surfer. I can't find it over here, but I don't know what the foundation of this is, but he says, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign with the Jets, GreenBean should shave his beard. Like, why? Why I gotta shave my beard, City Surfer? What happened? Why is it all on me, man? Why don't you shave your beard or something? I don't know if you fucking have a beard. But there was something else I wanted to point out here. Oh, wait a minute. All right, don't forget, guys, we have about 8 minutes until the beginning. We're going to be signing off here in about 5, and we'll tell you the next place to be, as far as I'm concerned, is the Matt O'Leary channel. He did it last year. He did a great job. I think he was on for like 3 or 4 hours, whatever the hell it was. He took us all the way through that first portion of free agency. It's a great place to be. It's where a lot of your Jets sistering and brothering are going to be. So it's a good place, and we'll be going over there as well. I just saw I lost it, Dom. I don't know what to do. I lost it. Now I saw Tony Alexio too. Do you see what the hell's going on here?
I'm not seeing any of that stuff in the chat.
What the fuck is happening? Maybe it's, it takes sometimes when you go back over to YouTube, because I try to keep, I wanted the poll is what I wanted to talk about. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dom, for helping me.
Glad I could be of service.
I asked the poll question before everybody, and let's talk about what you guys thought. So we had almost 360 votes. That's pretty good. What's your number one free agent position to fill? Now, obviously, I'm limited to 4 choices, so I tried to pick what I've gathered. Could be most Jets fans' priorities. So we have center, offensive tackle, safety, and wide receiver. Interesting. It was kind of close, but with offensive line, 38% said center as the number one priority, followed by 34% with the offensive tackle. 17% went safety, and then a paltry 9% with wide receiver. Jeremy, how do you feel about that? Would you agree with the chat and where we landed in our poll?
Well, yeah, I can understand it. I mean, what's our option? Dan Feeney at center? I mean, like it's a priority. I mean, at least with tackle, there's a chance Becton, Dwayne, and Max Mitchell are all healthy, right? We want to take a tackle because we want a premier lock-in guy, because everybody, the other 3 all have their question marks. But With center, it's a direct need. It's Dan Feeney right now is the only one on the roster who can play center, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah. So what do you think? You don't like the idea of Dan Feeney, Dumb?
Who doesn't like the mullet, man?
Come on, he's solid.
Yeah,
He's solid.
Listen, you can make viable arguments for any four of those options. I think I voted, and I think I voted safety, and I think that just has to do with my fingers and toes being crossed that we somehow bring in Jesse Bates. So yeah. You can make arguments. You can make arguments either way.
You can make an argument for any one of those position, unless you're Jets forever, in which case they all suck. Every one of those positions. Now I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but it probably is. I don't know. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. You know, it depends. You know, I just want to see it addressed this offseason. I'm not necessarily committed to them needing to do it in free agency. I do understand, you know, you commit to, an Aaron Rodgers, and you put the whole operation in the hands of a rookie, with the ball, with his hands on the ball every play. Maybe that could be concerning. I do understand that, but man, rookie centers and, dude, if you get the right one, these guys are studs. There's a lot of rookie centers in this class that I'd be totally happy with.
Yep.
And I think, I think we'd be okay.
Yeah.
So look at this. I saw Jeremy. This is funny. Wait, where the hell did it go? It was John Hepburn. It's funny. He says GreenBean should shaves his beard, and Jeremy could wear it on his head. That would be great.
It was funny. It was funny because even before I saw him say that, I was going to say, if you shave your beard, save it for me, and I'll have it put onto my head as part of the deal.
You'll have it actually, surgically implanted, like a men's club for men or a hair club for men. Remember that?
But
Remember that guy?
By the way, Ian Rappaport just came out and said the Raiders are going to be in on Jimmy G in 3 minutes when the window opens.
Ooh,
the Raiders are pursuing Jimmy G.
Our options are gonna be limited. Like, dude, it might happen like boom, boom, boom. Like, Jimmy G's gone, the Minishew's gone, Jameis Winston's gone. Like all the guys that you were thinking we could even fall back to, gone. Brissett, gone. Mike White, gone. Everybody's gone. And then Aaron Rodgers goes, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna open a surf shop. So who knows, man? Who knows? Rusty Spooner talking to Dom about Patterson. He says Patterson's a better prospect than Whippler.
Everyone's got their opinion, Rusty. Some of them are right and some of them are wrong.
That's right. Usually I'm right though, which is real nice for me. I prefer it. Let's see. Jets Forever said he wasn't talking about the poll. It's okay. I was just busting your balls anyway. Jesse Bates. All right, guys. Well, look, we have 2 minutes left. I want to thank Dom and what the fuck is his Jeremy for checking in, hanging out with us. I also want to thank Matt O'Leary for stopping by for the first hour. It's always great to have you guys here. And let's just be real. There's only one place to be after this. It's with Matt O'Leary. Let's all go right over there and take us through free agency together as a family, as friends. There's no reason to do this alone. Go ahead over to Matt O'Leary in 1 minute, and we'll all have a good time over there. Jeremy, Dom, thank you for checking in. Let me see what I end this with. Let me just do the old thing. I'll do this one. Have a great, this isn't going to make any sense, but have a great day, everybody. Enjoy free agency and go Jets.
I think he's going to be day one, a violent vertical edge setter.
I see some ass off the edge. Get that mindset to put your shoulder on somebody. Dig, drop. You're finished. Hey, first down. This is weird. It worse than last time.
I love Jets fans. You name one other organization that deals with the shit that we deal with and is still this passionate. Sure, you got the little segments, the dog pound. But look at the Patriots fans. They just had 20 years of there are kids, there are 20, 21-year-old, 25-year-old people in this world that are Patriots fans who have never known losing. Never in their entire lifetime. They were born into this Belichick-Brady thing, and they have consistently won. They've won 6 Super Bowls. They've been to 9 or whatever it is. And then when they didn't get in there, they were the AFC Championship game or the semifinals or whatever. And what happens the year that Tom Brady leaves? Dude, you have droves of people leaving the Patriots. These are diehard Pats fans. This is what they have. Diehard Pats fans going to be Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans. Why? Because I'm a fucking fan of Tom Brady. Bullshit. What is that?